Hey, welcome everybody to Carnival of Randomness. We're back. My car is back, and Greg is... Oh, he's a drummer joke again. What the heck? But we're very thrilled to welcome our guests. We have somebody who I guarantee his name I'm going to mix up with somebody else, but in a way that'll be fine. We have son Henry here. We're very thrilled to have him.
Yay!
We have Marty York.
Son Henry, hey.
We have one drummer.
We have a drummer filling in for another drummer until that drummer shows up.
Yes, yeah. But that's actually because you know what I'm going to mess your name up with is Son House.
Oh yeah, that's flattering.
And it's fitting in a way because you do some Son House stuff at Archive.
I do some Son House songs, and I'm the host of the Son House Blues Nights now on last Thursday of every month.
And I always think, and I tell people, you could play in front of 50,000 people. You will never play in a stage with a candelabra and a dinosaur with oven mitts on at Record Archive.
No, but wouldn't that be cool to have in your rider? If you're playing like Wembley and you can't do it without your Tyrannosaurus skeleton properly positioned, I aspire to that level of crazy.
No, when you can just have one, that could be on your rider plus the M&M's thing.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the logic of the M&M thing, but the Tyrannosaur, it's got to be stuff on your rider that makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, it's like oven mitts. That's not the right kind of oven mitt. It's got to have a little unicorn on it.
Yeah, right. And you got to put my Oriental carpet down because it really ties the whole stage together.
So going back, how did this start for both of you? What was like? I always say for musicians, there's that siren song in Pole that because this is a crazy life you lead.
In what respect, Rob? Like
just in a way, like when you're younger
and
like you're going out and all of a sudden listening to whatever, you're just going, okay, I really want to do this. This is really cool.
Gosh.
I want to follow that path. The different path not taken.
Yeah, I get it. You know, I grew up in a real musical household. So my mom was an opera singer and sang with the Philharmonic and did all that kind of stuff around here. And my dad was a barrelhouse piano player who played in all the beer halls in Boston for money when he was a kid, right? So I just grew up around music and musicians. And so they would always take me to see stuff that was happening around town, Jose Greco, flamenco guitar, whatever was they thought was pretty cool. They took me to see B.B. King at Nazareth in 1972, and I went out and got a guitar about 3 days later. I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. B.B. King just standing there popping off those B.B. King licks and singing like he did. I just loved that, and I still do. And that was it. That was the moment the fuse got lit. Never looked back.
Yeah, Marty.
Yeah, I have to say I'm a casualty of Richard Starkey, Ringo. I saw him on TV as a little kid. You know, my sister was, of course, watching it and screaming. And I thought to myself, well, that guy's having the most fun in the band. The other guys have to play guitar and sing. That looks like work. So I'm going to go and play drums. And I think I could do it. I just had a kind of natural feeling that I could play drums that early on. So it wasn't until later that I actually followed that, but...
Isn't that weird, too, though? There's some things in life, you gravitate towards the instrument, but it's like before you start, you just know you can do it.
Yeah.
And also Ringo was both practical, too, because he was storing money away, giving it to his grandmother, because he thought the Beatles would be gone in a couple of years, he was going to be a hairdresser, which I think is pretty cool.
And his hair is still amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
His drumming is still amazing.
Yeah, people don't. I hate that how people make fun of Ringo. It's like I know Buddy Rich would roll over in his grave that he's ranked higher than him on like a list of drummers for Rolling Stone. Take that for what you will, but Ringo's a really good drummer. He's the best drummer in Liverpool.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny they all lose in those polls to Karen Carpenter, who's not somebody, if you asked, would be on that list. But she was a fabulous drummer too, right?
Well, multi-talented.
But Buddy Rich. Turn over in your grave, man.
Yeah, Buddy Rich is like, up there, like saying the whole line like he's supposedly sent to the hospital, paraphrase. Hey, at least it's not Carnival of Randomness now.
Yeah, or he has to play with the Son Henry Band.
So you're starting off playing, and like, what were your first experiences like playing live and just doing songs and everything?
Marty?
Well, the first time I ever played was at a spaghetti dinner for 6th grade get-together. And at that point, I was borrowing drums from one of the other guys in the band. His dad played. And I didn't have a set until like another 2-3 years after that. But the problem back then was we wanted to play everything all the time. So we were playing in between songs. We were just constantly noodling the whole time. And he came up kindly behind me and said, "Can you stop playing? Nobody wants to hear all that stuff in the middle of songs. Can you just save it for the song?" It was like the best lesson I could have got for 11-year-old at the time. So
humble beginnings here. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put it. It's always, I always like to tell the ZZ Top story. The first time they ever played a gig, there was one person there, and they bought him a Coke because he stayed for the whole gig.
Yeah, you gotta love loyal fans like that.
I always love. I
Anybody's
love
willing to
being
stick it
part
out.
of. Like, sometimes when you see something that just started. I remember I was at Dinosaur Barbecue when Samantha Fish played here.
Oh, right.
And almost nobody was there. We're sitting, this is the first time. Then she progressed to this, and it's like, I was there, and like when I would see her, she would remember me.
Yeah.
You just magically get on the bottom floor and everything.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's an important point, right? Because as a fan of local music and local original music, you never know who or what's going to blow up. And you might be one of 3 or 4 people seeing a local band playing their own songs. And a couple of years later, you might be able to say exactly what you just did. I was on the ground floor of these guys before they blew up.
And the wish I still have, and I've told some of them, you have to get big so I can be your manager. You sign a contract, I steal all your money.
Yeah.
I've got that going for you.
What a great problem. We'd love to have that problem, Rob. So you're hired. So let's just figure out a way to make this thing explode.
I'll be your promotion. And one thing I want to talk about, we jump all around out here, is that I've been talking about this, your instrument a lot. You talk about that. How did you gravitate toward that instrument? I always ask that question. Drummers do because they can't play anything else.
Hey, easy.
Hey, wait till somebody shows up.
Oh, Marty plays the radio really heavy.
Exactly.
So yeah, loaded question, easy question, Rob. I just fell in love with Wayne Allman's music when I was a kid, right? How could you not? And so slide guitar was always a thing for me. But I was playing in a bar in Anchorage, Alaska in 1993. And the guy that owned the bar was this character named Boo Rohde. And Alaska is like the weirdest place on earth back then. It was like the land of fruits and nuts. And the jam session that I was hosting back then was in the last of the grill your own steak restaurants in Anchorage, Alaska. All the other ones had burned down because they trusted customers around an industrial gas grill to cook their own food. So I was hosting my jam there, and Boo came in that night with a thing that looked like a violin case. He was like, I don't know if you can do anything with this, but I want you to take this home and figure it out. This was my mother's steel guitar. She was a steel guitarist in a Western swing band in Nebraska in the 1940s and 50s, and it's just gathering dust in my trailer. So go see what you can do. And I got it home and plugged it in. I was like, oh my God, I can't play this thing, but this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And just like Marty with the drums, I was like, I can make this work. This is going to be really cool. And so I spent about the next year just figuring out how to translate Robert Johnson licks onto this steel guitar. But I did it in front of an audience at this blues jam. So it was like learning out loud, man. And Boo would just say, well, that sucked, but next week will be better. That sucked. And finally, after about 6 or 8 months, he went, you know what? I think you're finally starting to get the hang of that damn thing. But I just loved it. It's so different than playing the electric guitar because you're not constrained by frets or rules or logic. It's just pure emotional music.
See, that was in a way for me. My brother got a Moog.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, being a kid, hours just doing all the sound effects.
Oh, yeah.
But drum roll, please, somebody. He is here.
Yay!
The one, the only. Imagine if, like in Spider-Man 100, he grew 8 arms with a drummer. It's Greg.
Hey!
Yeah.
Sorry to be late, guys. Hi,
Greg
Southern.
Andrews has entered the chat. Hey, Greg.
Hey, buddy. What's happening?
Good to see you.
Well, now,
I was going to do my Kramer entrance, but it was not visual, so,
well, now we're going to leave, and you two can talk drums for half an hour.
So anyways, what do you think, nylon tips or wood tips? Let's get deep
depends on
into
the
it.
kind of music you're playing.
All right, that's enough of that. Let's get back to the regular show.
Let's go back to the steel
Are you talking about
guitar.
bottleneck, or what are you talking about?
Lap steel.
Lap steel.
Yeah, lap steel and pedal steel and Yeah, and I was really lucky. There was a guy there that became one of my really closest friends, a name you may not recognize, but it was Stu Schulman, who was a fantastic guitar player, but he was B.W. Stevenson's pedal steel player at the Armadillo World Headquarters in Austin in the 70s. And he was also Willie Nelson's steel player for a while. And, I just used to listen to this guy play the steel guitar, and I was just like enthralled by the stuff he would get out of that damn pedal steel. And always wanted to be just like Stu when I grow up. So it's good to have heroes, even at 30,
Boogie with Stu.
40. Yeah, Boogie with Stu, man. Stu was a monster player. Oh my Lord.
I just picturing though, that's like a perfect setting for steel guitar blues country. Just those dingy bars and out-of-way places.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool to be able to do that in a place where you can take risks and kind of use that as a way to polish your craft in front of an audience. Which is kind of what we do at the Main Place Tavern on Sunday nights, coincidentally, with the Blues Jam that I'm hosting there right now. It's the same thing. It's like we try out new material and new ideas, and, I'm working on some new 8-string pedal or lap steel tunings, and I do it in front of the audience just as a way of, making sure I really know what I know.
You're reminding me of a story Hayes Carl told about how he started out playing at a bar in Galveston. The owner was like a gangster who owned a lion, and it got wiped out in a hurricane. But when Hayes started playing, it was Wednesday night, and the sign said, Wednesday night specials, $4 pitchers, $6 wings, and Hayes Carl.
Yeah.
Tonight, free beer.
Yeah. Oh, man, Hayes Carl is a monster. Did you see him when he was in
I've
town?
seen him every time.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, he was good.
That was such a good show. Such a good show.
But that's, I'm just thinking about that. Now, how did you get tour so much? I think you're touring again.
Yeah, I was in Eastern Europe in July, and I'm heading out for the month of September.
Now, how do you this is a question every friend of mine who tours, how do you like to travel at this point?
By any means necessary.
Oh, see, I become the opposite where, I used to go on the road all the time. I still do for work, and I'm like, wait a second, there's a gig? Cool, I'll go. It's in Webster. Wow, that's kind of far.
Yeah, Houston kind of cured me living of that sort of distance thing because, the city's 70 miles across. So if you just want to go visit friends on the other side, it takes you an hour and a half to get there, right? But no, I just love traveling. I don't really care what form it takes. If we're taking the train, great. If I got to fly, great. If I got to rent a car, well, okay, let's do it, right?
What about ox cart? And,
haven't
a team of oxen.
I haven't tried that one yet, but
like
I'm always,
Amish.
if that's what it came down to, I
might be more of a Mexico thing.
Yeah, well, or like just rural New York, I suppose, right? get behind one of those pony buggies and just go. As long as I get room for my gear and a place to plug in, I'm there.
I'm coming home from Ithaca probably about 4 a.m. after seeing my friend's Fox 45 play. I'm coming home, and it's a really dark road, and then I see this thing in front of me. And it's just like a UFO encounter. I go up there. It was an Amish buggy, and I don't know if it's just by pedal. It had a light on the back.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like the start to a really bad Outlander episode.
Well, they might have to have that stuff just for New York State. DOT stuff.
Well, what's your observation compared to audiences here? How is it in Europe? Is it just universal that everybody loves music, or is there a different attitude?
So folks, I think everybody loves music, but folks love it different. And they love it differently. And the audiences in the UK are different than the audiences in Europe, or different than the audiences here. In the UK, man, they like it loud. They like all that raucous electric blues stuff, and they love all the sort of the guitar crazy pyrotechnic stuff.
Gary Moore and all that.
Yeah, Gary Moore. God, he's like sits at the right hand of God as far as most folks are concerned.
Yep.
So we tend to play a lot more rock and roll when I'm over in the UK. In the running gigs we did in Europe, it's a little bit more rocky, but I can get away with the variety, and they're very schooled in it, so they understand it when we play stuff that smells like jazz or stuff that feels more like blues or more like country. They're with you, and I just appreciate that level of sophistication, and they'll pretty much dance to anything. But, I did a gig on this last tour where for some reason, I thought this was going to be crazy, but they put me in a church. outside Budapest, and there were probably 300 or 400 people packed into that church. And I was only supposed to play a 20-minute slot, and it was just me and my acoustic guitar playing lap steel stuff. And they held me over for an extra 40 minutes just because they didn't want to let go. They were so into it that they just didn't want the whole thing to end. And I just love that level of interest and curiosity and respect, because you don't generally get that everywhere when you're playing someplace around here where it's like soccer moms talking on their phones and swiping left on their Tinder dates. I mean,
that is too. That's part of the music where, and I've had those nights as being an audience member where something just special happens, where all of a sudden everybody comes together and like this little bit of magic happens.
Yeah.
Which around here too much, I'm trying to say, shut up, I'm trying to listen to the show more.
Yeah.
That,
well, I mean, you contrast that with the Japanese style of audience participation, which is pretty quiet, right? In general. Yeah. They wait till the song's over, they go nuts. I mean, you get the teeny bop screamers every now and then, but for the most part, they're really respectful. And they just, they see the art part of it, and they want to be entertained. And then you go to Europe, and like you said, they want more glitz and lights and crazy stuff. And I don't know, it's just different. You wonder what causes all those different kind of interpretations, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it's like going through these forms of music all over the world, and now I think this is my own theory. Sometimes you're doing with what you could do with instruments. Like if you're poor, you have to find like something to hit on or something.
Yeah. Yeah, the five
one thing, this is like an unanswered question. You made me think of this because I've always said if we somehow had like one of like Paul McCartney on here, I'd like to ask him like, now while we're doing this, I could have ordered like a book or something. But you're growing up and there's rock and roll in the 50s, and I know like I only know the story like in England about how they'd get blues. Somebody would get a blues album, Jimmy Page, or
right.
They'd all come together. Like Keith Richards said, that's if he didn't run into Mick Jagger, or he would have just mugged him and taken the album. But they'd all get together because this was like rare. But I'm wondering how rock and roll was exported to like Europe than the other parts of like mainland Europe. And that's a question I really can't answer.
Well, it's probably military, right?
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually good.
For
a drummer, especially,
back and forth. But bringing music back and forth from the U.S. to those.
Yeah, but there's a time horizon on it too, because Dave Knight, the guitar player in my band, we met in the hallway in school in like 9th grade, and he was carrying records and a guitar. So I can tell you that same story about like Mick and Keith. That's how Dave and I met. He had some really cool records, and I was like, what are you doing with those? Are you a fan of those bands? Because I love those bands. Right? And we've been friends now for, I don't want to tell you how many years that is.
I think Marty has got a good point, though. It's just like with stereo equipment. Back in the 70s, all those guys would come back from Germany with all that great Telefunken stuff and crazy tape decks and stereos, and, because the stuff was big out there. Right. And it wasn't so much here. Here we had, Sony and Panasonic.
And I also think there's the other aspect, that the dirty aspect of history here with racism. And you had like your bluesmen and your jazzmen being expats. Yeah. And going over to Europe where they were more appreciated.
Sure. Yeah, and treated as equals.
Yeah. Celebrated.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to cut you off, Marty.
No, I wasn't. I was.
It's amazing how many people you run over there that are people of a certain age that remember those tours of Wolf and Muddy and, all those guys going over there to play with the American Folk Blues Festivals, those road shows, Otis Rush. They remember them like they were yesterday.
That's one thing I did. I will give Eric Clapton credit for the one time for the Howlin' Wolf sessions in London, and whatever else about him. Herbert Sumlin was playing, and they mentioned Herbert Sumlin was playing, and Eric goes, "You have Sumlin. What do you need me for?"
Yeah.
So he got it. I mean, whatever else about the guy, he got.
There's probably a lot of other things too. Like I'm sure if you're an agent, the rules are maybe different, the rates are different, the tax thing is different, and then you've got because I was in Europe in the 80s with a show band, okay? So you play in these towns are like, an hour apart, and Italy is small, and I was there, and all, but I'm just saying, if you get a market, then all of a sudden, bam, you got them, your stuff gets distributed there, and then word goes around, and then it kind of floats back here, like you said, as people come back here, hey, I heard this great band. But it's got to be a little different, just because probably logistics is easier. You're not renting Learjets and, all
That's
that
true.
stuff.
Well, Carl, you're about to take a trip to Scotland, England, Ireland, England.
Yeah.
So how does that work when you're up there? I mean, you just book a bunch of shows or Carolina books a bunch of shows, and
You'll have a blast.
you just travel from one to the other until you're done, or do you like to hit certain things along the way?
The last year when we did this, I burned myself out. We did something like 27 gigs and like 19 days. I was stupid busy, and I don't want to do that again this year. So this year we've cut back on the density of the gigs. But it's, we'll fly over there. I've got a couple of days worth of rehearsals with these guys that I've known for 20 or 30 years, and we'll put the show together, and then we'll take it out and kind of refine it as we go. But because I have friends over there, I don't rent gear. I just borrow gear from buddies of mine that have stuff that I know I can use, and I travel with a really lightweight fly rig. So I'm pretty portable, and they kind of help me fill in all the squares. But it's it's kind of like touring here, except that you just do it on the other side of the road. I mean, we'll rent a van, and we'll all pile in the van, and a bunch of sweaty musicians and my boss, and we'll just tool all over the country. But I've got breaks built into it because I want to catch up with friends, and I want to get a chance to just hit some of my favorite pubs and get a little bit of downtime.
Enjoy it a little bit instead of just working.
And when was the last time when did you ever think you'd hear me say I'm going to slow down a little bit? But here we go.
We all
just
get to that point,
only a little.
That's the only thing. You get to the point where you got to know your limitations.
Yeah, it's kind of that, and it's smell the roses more, just like that. But I think the other thing too is there's scarcity in the marketplace works for you as well. And if you can play one town or the next, they're an hour apart, but they're willing to drive. And so by creating a little bit of scarcity and playing fewer gigs in Scotland and more gigs in southern England and filling in the spaces, then it makes it easier for us to draw from a wider catchment area. And, the gigs are better. There's more people. There's more spirited. So it's a bit of, there's a bit of capitalism behind that too, because we're always trying to grow our audience and grow into bigger venues.
Did you win some kind of British award too?
Yeah,
we have an award-winning British musician here.
Yeah. I'm the only American to have won 2 British Blues Awards.
Wow.
As a Brit.
How did that come about?
They when they were doing the voting for the British Blues Awards, I won in the other instrumentalist category for my lap steel playing, and they had so many people voting for me that they were like, in the instrumentalist category, they were like, we don't know what we're going to do here, but what's your plans? And at the time, I didn't think we'd ever be leaving the UK. I thought we were going to be there for good, and so I was like, well, the Brit category is the good one. I don't want to go up against Joe Bonamassa in the international category. Screw that. But vote me as a Brit. And so I won 2 years back to back, 2010 and.
Speaking of the logistics, though, is there a lot of hoops to jump through for going overseas? I mean, legal stuff, and I mean, I'm curious because I haven't done it since it was all taken care of. But for when I did it, I didn't know nothing about it.
Yeah,
here's where you got to go get on this plane, take this bus.
Yeah, we do all our own logistics. Either the band that I'm playing with in the UK or the band that I'm playing with in Europe. I've got 2 actually different bunches, and they help with all the logistics. They rent the vans, and they make sure we got places to stay because they're local, great. Right? They can get all that figured out.
That's optimism.
I suppose I don't deal with any of the visa stuff. My boss takes care of all that to make sure we're on the right side of the law about all the visas. So
your papers are not in order.
Yeah, show me your papers. Yeah, it hasn't quite gotten to that state yet.
What have been some of the most traveling, some of the more interesting pubs and venues you've played then? Any good stories about them? We've retired Greg's stories because he told them too many times.
I can tell Marty later.
Yeah, gosh. I mean,
just randomly like the show here.
There are nights of there's 2 that jump to my mind. One of which is there's a bar in Aberdeen. It's called the Moorings Bar. It's like a pirate bar down on the docks, and it's a heavy metal rock and roll bar. And my band holds the attendance record for that bar to this day. This is going on 20 years, right? We still hold the attendance record for our gigs, and that's only because they made the foolish mistake of letting us play there and then telling me that we could buy alcohol at their cost.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so what I would do is take 20 or 30 pounds local currency, and I would buy shots of tequila with it. And they would cost me like 5 cents a piece. And I would get the whole bar lit, like 4 or 5 rounds for the entire bar. And then word got out. It was like, oh, by the way, the Son Henry Band's playing, but there's free tequila. And we had lines out the door as a result of that. And it would only ever cost me, 20 or 30 pounds, which at the time was like 20 or 30
smart.
bucks. It was smart. But there are nights when I'd have people dancing on the stage, guys that look like they're pirates up, just rocking with it. It was just really great. But the other one, my favorite one was we did a blues festival in the Orkney Islands. So drive north until you hit water and then catch a ferry and keep going. And it was a whole bunch of bands, but one of them was the British Blues All-Stars. So Colin Hedgecock, Bob Hall, who played with Savoy Brown that later became Foghat, all behind Miller Anderson, and Peter Green. Right, the guy that started Fleetwood Mac, and we got to share a dressing room with those guys, and I love those guys. They're a lot of them are friends of mine to this day. But we got to play in front of Peter Green. We did our full set, and then Peter Green did his set. And I was in the middle of playing something on the steel guitar, and I looked over, and Peter Green was standing to my right shoulder. He just wandered out on stage, wondering, like, how the hell is he doing that? And he wandered over, and he was standing. If you see the picture, you'll see how far he was. He was as far away from me as Rob is from me right now, where we were sitting. And he stood there, and he watched an entire song. And then he nodded his head, kind of like, and smiled, and went, very good, carry on, and he wandered off. And that was my Peter Green.
Carry on.
Totally British. I carry on.
Green, when I'm sitting at my table, about as far away as I am from you, is my CD of Peter Green in Chicago playing old blues favorites.
Oh, man.
This Sweet Home Chicago is like just, and you wouldn't recognize them like from the old days. That's my Fleetwood Mac though, like the BBC sessions, Rattlesnake Shake, all those.
Oh, I love that version of the band. Even when he's just doing like B.B. King songs, he just had such a phenomenal touch on the guitar. He was just such an amazing player.
And I always think of those early days too. That's just got to be. It was all brand new to everybody. It was like a new form. I mean, blues were going around for a long time.
Right.
These English guys are discovering. And I do remember. I think it was like with the Yardbirds, Sonny Boy Williamson said something the other one. Those lines, you don't know how to play the blues.
Yeah.
But a lot of them do.
You know how long it took me to realize it was blues I was listening to when I listened to Led Zeppelin and all that stuff? I had no idea in high school.
Yeah.
I just thought, this is cool, all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait a minute, it's blues.
I'm always bad with that, too,
cool stuff with
because, Americana, blues, country, alt-country, giving labels, it's like sometimes it's music, and you hear the blues, it's the blues.
Yeah, it's somewhere along the way, I think a lot of the feel and the dynamics and the conversational aspect with your audience got lost, and it's just all sort of bombastic rock and roll for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just nothing but loud guitars and flashy solos, and man, that's really, really tragic.
I also think thing with the blues is like a tragic element, unless you're very good in terms of like maybe having a writer's instinct or like very empathetic, is to play them, you got to live them.
Right.
A lot of times this is really tough, when you're hearing these old bluesmen singing about like I lost my woman or there's pain, and it's not like Blues Hammer and Ghost World.
Yeah.
Versus country where you lost your dog or your truck or something.
my liver went out my truck.
The dog always comes back. It's okay.
Yeah, but you got to give audiences credit, right? They're smart, and they can tell the difference between a guy like Joe Beard, who's up there singing his truth, which is a shameless plug for this upcoming Thursday at the Record Archive.
Hey, that's what you're here
Joe Beard, right? I'm so excited about that.
Like for Greg and I, hair plugs.
Oh, yeah. Joe Beard is one of my all-time guitar heroes. I just love his music. But, he's the real deal. And people can tell when they're hearing something real or they're hearing somebody who's filtering it and not singing something that's true to them. You know what I mean? You can tell. And so the problem with a lot of blues is people they're writing things that they think sound like blues. They're cliches, but they're not writing their own truth and sharing it with people. And I think that's a shame.
Yeah, this is my one thing, Zeppelin fans will get mad at me, but like the first time I heard Robert playing, I'm a Zeppelin fan, but I'm going, he's just doing Howlin' Wolf.
Right.
You say it to most people, they're like, who are you talking about?
Right.
I mean, I think a lot of what happened, like you were talking about the bombasticness and the cacophony or whatever, I just think the market got so glutted, and everybody all of a sudden, I want to be in a rock band. So now we got to be better than these guys. So we got to do something different than these guys, and we got to do something more on top, more outrageous to get noticed. So I mean, how many times can you do everything? That's so. After a while, it's just let's just baffle them with BS instead of playing music, type of thing.
And I think more like you're going in the age of social media, you have to act like idiots. I'd like to say that you word of mouth, do the work and you grow an audience. But these days it's just like, the flashiness, who can market the best.
Trying to get attention all the time.
Yeah.
We talk about this about the blues where, there's a point of blues where it's, sad and there's all these sad stories and everything, but it's always like an outcome of, I'm still here. So there's like a joyous factor of the blues that a lot of people don't really pay attention to. When you go to see Buddy Guy, he's the happiest guy in the planet when he's playing up there.
Hell yeah.
And he's playing blues all night long.
He's ear-splitting.
Same thing with BB, same thing with a lot of these guys. So they are loving what they're doing, too, because they're still here and they're still living, still getting through it.
You're a wise grasshopper.
It's true.
Not like the old Simpsons adage, the blues isn't about making everybody else feel, it's not about making you feel good, it's about making everybody else feel bad.
Yeah. Right.
Is that a Bleeding Gums Murphy quote?
Yeah.
That's right, I love that. You ever been to a dentist? No. Or yeah, not me.
Going back a little to the Sun, how did the Sun House thing start?
So that started ages ago. Gordon Munding was the original host of that. And Gordon did it for a while, and then Genesee Johnny took it over. Johnny did it for, at least 10 years, I think, right? And it was originally, I may get my history wrong. I think it started at the Dyno, and then when it got moved to the Record Archive a few years ago, right? And it's been there ever since. And I took over for Johnny in November of last year when Johnny felt like he needed to step away. And it's a cool gig because it does really two important things that is something that we're trying to maintain, and one of which is just keeping the music and the music of Sun House alive and the memory of the guy alive because he's an icon. But also just using as a chance to showcase blues artists that we think you ought to know about. That might not actually hit your radar, right? And so the program is just all about curating up-and-coming bands, well-known bands, but people that are out there trying to do something that's true to the form, but unique to them, that just coming from a place of respect. And I love that about that night.
And plus, Sun House is like near and dear to the heart of Rochester because you lived here for decades.
Yeah. Yeah, and so if you're the person that's listening and you're the one that spray painted the Sun House mural, shame on you. We're going to find you.
Yes. The carnival knows that we have ways.
Oh, we have tentacles.
Yeah.
We have many, many, many tentacles.
But I think he lived here from like the 40s to the 70s. Somebody found him, I think.
Yeah. It was the guy from Canned Heat and, Dick Waterman, who became his manager. Found him and got him playing again. And Al Hughes, I think, was the guitar player for Canned Heat, who actually reminded him how to play because Al was a student of his original recordings from the 30s. And
are you doing any dinosaur gigs? Are they back to having blues, or are they doing other kinds of music?
We're trying to get on their radar screen, and I hope to be playing some blues back there soon. I know Steve Grills is playing there, and I think it kind of. I don't know what the state.
I mean, I'm doing a thing there with Cupid's Boomerang, which I find odd because that's like a harder rock original. I don't know how that's going to go over.
I know, like a friend of mine.
I'll let you know.
When it first started, a friend of mine played there, and she's more like, I wouldn't say pop, but she's more like, I don't know how to describe her, like just basic music, I guess.
Yeah.
And she started, so I mean, it's going underway again. So
I got to go over there and nose around and see what they're doing. They might have some. Maybe they're going to do one type of music one night or one. And I don't know. I have no idea.
That's why I like to encourage. A lot of the things I like to encourage people. I tend to go down musical rabbit holes once I discover blues artists or jazz or during. I always try to find the more obscure ones and go from everybody knows like Robert Johnson, who I love, like Lightning Hop. Let's go find somebody.
Blind
Lemon
Johnson.
Jefferson,
Blind Lemon, Blind Willie. Gosh, Yeah, rabbit hole. Yeah, you know, I guess going back to the dinosaur, though, I love seeing people taking a risk on live music because we need those venues. We need stages, audiences. We need that if we're going to keep curating a musical scene and helping it to grow. Because the opposite is always true. So the Spirit Room is closing its doors apparently on the 27th of September.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I love that room, Jake. I'm so sorry. We'll be there for the wake on the 27th.
That sucks. We did a thing for them.
One of my friends is playing Fringe
benefit thing or something to help him out, but apparently didn't help.
No, dear.
You know what? I always say you have to be crazy to do music, podcasts, own bars, restaurants, because what you're doing is you're trying to beat the odds, and it's like, I know, like running a business, the odds are just so against you, and like staying open within 5. You ever see the rates of places within 5 years?
Yeah.
How much they...
But see, this is not to be funny or anything, but they opened a cannabis dispensary a couple doors down. So it's like, obviously, I don't know if that's pushing things, if the rents are starting to get high or... But
no pun intended.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. But
did they open like a McDonald's near the cannabis? I want to be
fair. What I'm getting at is, it seems like the area is starting to grow, and maybe he's getting priced out, or if he had enough. Well, I don't know what his situation, but what I'm trying to say, like, if he could have hung in there longer, the area could have caught up. Maybe, or he could have caught up to where the area was going, but he didn't have probably enough base.
Yeah.
It reminds me though of like when
landing at the airport, same thing, right? Rents went up and John couldn't stay in business.
This was like a good tangent. I was in Denver and I didn't know I had a candy bar. And my friend looks at it, and it was what's the word, psilocybin, the mushroom stuff. It was loaded with that. I ate the whole thing, and it said, "I recommend it." 25%.
And by the time you read it, you're on the floor.
I was sick bitter for a couple hours.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, those things, I almost
when you
can't
don't know,
do them. I almost can't do them. They're too much. I'd rather just smoke a doob.
I've done 2 of those things. One time I was drunk in high school, and I ate a bar of X-Lax because I thought it was a candy bar. I think I prefer the drug.
No, that was a prank. Somebody pranked you on that one. That was same outcome either way.
That's a crappy joke to play on somebody.
That was a great joke.
You know what?
Every bad joke
you may have to be a new co-host. Now, this is the question I ask everybody on here, and I constantly, because this is like one of my things about music. I've always tried to be diverse, try new things. But I'll get friends. Like I'll have a friend. Like a few years ago, I cite this all the time. Hey Rob, you want to come out? There's an Eagles cover band at Barnard. A bunch of us are going. Like, okay, if I do that, why don't you come save us like the Mighty High and Dry? And what's the music like? Go, no, you just like it. It's really good. And none of them will.
Yeah.
They won't go out of their comfort. How do you encourage people? It's almost like the kid with the cereal, like he likes it. How do you encourage people? I think there's like 2 camps here. There's us sort of all out there fringe guys, alternative guys who'll go see like the live. I want to see, I want to see original music. I'll try different bands, and I don't mind. Obviously, if your thing, do covers. But how do you, and then there's this other thing, they just want to go see what they know. How can you get more people? It's not going to hurt you. You're going to, what if you pay like $5 maybe, have some drinks, have fun? How can you get people to come in and just try it?
It's tough to get people out of any rut they're in. One of the bands I used to be in years ago did a original music series at the German House.
Right.
We had access, you played that. And we had a series of bands come through. It was like 3 bands a night. We did it for about 8 times. It wasn't always once a month, but it was around there. And talk about getting people to go to that. The attendance was like almost non-existent. It was only $5 or whatever to get in. And the people who were there loved it because they're open to listening to new music. But not everybody is going to want to do that. They just got through work and they just want to have something to roll over.
What if I don't like it? You know what I love the most? When I tell them I'm playing someplace, oh, cool, what time do you start? Well, 9, or I say 10 or something. 10? Yeah. I'm like, well, what do you want? And where is it? Well, it's in, I don't know, wherever it is. well, really, that's kind of. I said, well, what do you want? You want us to come to your backyard and start at 5 o'clock?
Right.
I don't really know what you want,
You know, what are you going to do? Like, be driving around in your Jeep, have drum kit will play in your yard?
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey,
That's
that's a
about
good
the only
idea.
way.
Why did I think?
People are just scared. They don't want to stick their toe in the water or whatever. You know?
Yeah, we struggle with this because, given I'm really lucky that the guys that I'm fortunate enough to play with right now, we can go out and do a 3-hour gig and play only our own material. But we've also got a back catalog of cover songs that we can mix and match to kind of suit the room. So what you see from my band any given night is highly variable, and it kind of depends on the folks that are in the room. But I make the same pitch to everybody pretty much every time we play, that if you want to have a local music scene, and you're envious of like the original music scene in Austin or live music scene in Austin or Nashville or whatever, that's all driven by people that have the guts to stand up there and sing their truth and play their own material. And it's not a one-way conversation. It requires folks that are willing to take risks and sit there. And so major shout out to anybody that's willing to take a chance on a band that's brazen enough to say, we're playing original music, right? Because that's it. It's those folks that are willing to sit in the seat and listen and be part of the experience that are the important aspect in creating a live music scene. It's not the bands. You got to have an audience because it's just you need the audience because you need the economics so that the bar owners are friendly about it, and that's it, right? Bar owners can't. They have no taste in music. All they know how to do is count register tapes. And the register tells you whether it's a good band or a bad band. And that's all backsides in seats. So major thank you to everybody out there that's listening to this podcast that's willing to sit through me sitting in a bar with an acoustic guitar doing my own crying in your beer songs. I love you like family. Thank you. Right? Because you guys are the ones that make it a scene.
For the one who threw the pickled herring at you. No. I was thinking about that. It somehow popped in my head that the one concert I was at, my friend stood on a chair and somebody had ripped the phone out of the thing at the one where I hit him in the head with it. But how do you do that for a room, though, too? Like, talking about that, suppose you go in there and the room's just dead, though, like there's people, but how do you try to bring them in?
To bring them in the door?
Well, try to, like, get them into it, like, instead of seeing them all just talking. It's because I admit that's one of my pet peeves. When I'm going out to see a band, I want to see the band, and I could understand if it's, free, you're not paying a cover. That's why I'm actually for covers.
Yeah, me too.
Well, number one, I used to be like a good alcoholic, and I don't drink anymore, so I don't want to like I'm a freeloader. I want to pay.
Sure.
I want to pay, but but I've seen people, I'm sitting at some gigs at some places thinking, you paid $15 to come in here. You could go drinking somewhere else. Why aren't you listening?
Yeah. Once you invested that money, sit and enjoy it. All you gotta, it doesn't hurt. It can't hurt you. Music can't hurt you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's like guar or some spit stuff off stage at you.
There's still some good guar, I think.
Or what was it, like?
I don't know of it, but
I think like Iggy Pop knocked somebody out with like forgot it was like a watermelon or something off stage. So it can be dangerous. I got hit by a beach ball by one band.
Yeah, you can put your eye out with that.
No, but how do you encourage people? That's my biggest. That's what we try to push on the show. I had friends in high school because my brother played at Scorgies a lot, so I knew like all these different bands, and I'd make tapes like Gun Club with Jeffrey Lee Pierce, and I'd ask, they'd like the big three,
Sure.
which is fine, and I would just go, and they'd go, Rob, this thing you made, this sucks. And it's like, not what you do.
Yeah. Hey, this is I think a lot of bands, a lot of musicians really struggle with. The room was dead and we had a crappy gig because blah 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 blah. And you externalize all of that and blame it on the few people that are there that really just want to eat their ramen noodle soup and have a beer, and aren't engaging with you. You got to bring the party. You got to be interesting. You got to engage those folks. It's show business.
I have seen this many times.
Thank you.
This is what I appreciate the most out of all of you, and I've seen this. It might be like a concert for me and two people, but I've seen bands act like there's like they play. It's like they're playing in front of Dodger Stadium the way they're doing.
Yeah.
They're so into it. They're like, Rob, what song you want to hear?
You got to pretend every gig's a big deal. Because if you don't exude that, the people just go, these guys don't even like what they're doing. Why should I like it?
And I had the one, I remember, very well because Kenny Rogers is playing here. He's like solo. And I went to see the Flesh Tones at the Bug Jar. I would count maybe 30 people. And they played a show like you felt like you were the most important place in the world.
Right.
You were like special.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things, too, I've always said this, people don't always know why they're going out.
Sure.
They just go out. Oh, we're going to go get some beers. Okay. Oh, they got a band. Well, yeah, let's go. So, I mean, they don't even know. They want to, they're like, it's almost like a challenge. Well, you know, entertain me. Do something. Make it worthwhile for me to be here type of thing, you know. And if we don't do it as musicians, then, well, you know, the bartender's got to, you know, throw bottles around or something, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
we could start something like, you know, they had the horses on parade.
Yeah.
And maybe you win like a little prize, like a gift certificate.
Right.
We can have the Spot Greg parade.
Spot Greg.
Somebody will
Where's
go around,
Greg?
Where's Greg playing?
Yeah, get your red and white striped sweater.
I have a good question.
You'd be crushing it. But, you know, I think, but look, you got to go and you got to bring the show. But the other thing I think that I love about people, and especially this, is if you look at like the adoption curve, like you have your early adopters and, you know, the late adopters, that whole Simon Sinek kind of a thing. If you look at most people that are on the early adopter side of life, they like to feel like they're on the inside of something that's
Right.
happening that's really cool. And that means just walking the tables, saying hi and saying thank you to people personally, shaking hands and,
He talked to me.
you know, and
Yeah,
remembering
it matters.
people's names and, you know, making people feel like they're inside the tent because you need folks like that. We love folks like that are early adopters
I'm
of
always-
what we do because it's a high wire act, right? My band
Yeah.
is not a normal band.
And I'm
Hey,
proud of that.
come
I call it my
on.
I call it my class of 2012 because
You
I met all these upcoming
Went from
musicians in
drummer
2012
jokes.
and watching the progress and seeing how like some are going national and they still, you know, there'll be a gig, there'll be a lot of people who, oh, hi Rob, you know,
Yeah.
you get it, you know, I don't like attention really that much, but it feels good, you know, knowing that people appreciate you, supported them and everything.
Yeah.
But I want to ask this question. I've asked this one. Now, you've toured a lot. You play a lot. How did the word we can't speak its name 2020 affect you when everything goes down?
I was in
The other
Texas
C word.
at the time. So y'all's experience of that dreaded C word was different than mine was in when I was living in Houston, because Texas was in public denial about the health care impacts, and so bars could stay open if they served food and they had outside seating. And so beer tents and outdoor venues popped up like you wouldn't believe. And so we slowed down, but it didn't really stop. And the side effects of that thing were just horrid, right? Houston was ground zero for a lot of really awful stuff, but the live music scene kept going. It slowed down.
It's kind of like what the takeout thing did, what was here. The takeout thing went nuts.
Right.
Yeah, you go park car, mask, text. They come out. I actually took a look at one restaurant. It looked like they were doing a liver transplant. It looked like it was an operating room because everybody's we got this. And I feel like the horrible person I am. At times I have this dark sense of humor. So I get there. It's a friend's restaurant. I get there a little early. I see a younger girl, like a college student. She's got 3 sets of gloves on, a mask to get out, food. I had my window open and she goes by and I coughed.
Oh my God.
I'm going to hell, but heck, that's where all the good music is.
Yeah.
But the thing, like, I remember going to shows and, okay, mask, proof of vaccination, here's your nachos.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know, it's always funny. I watched, well, kind of forced to watch them because of working at Wegmans. But, you know, they have the Food Channel stuff on all the time. None of these people are wearing gloves when they're making this stuff.
Yeah, they should be.
You know, and they're not. And I don't know. I mean, I get it. They're in an environment.
It's show business.
Yeah, it's a sterile environment and all that. Yeah, it's show business.
Oh, it's like my
Doesn't
dad.
that look good? Don't you want some right now?
You know, my dad being that generation, he was like he's post-war Japan, one of those guys, mechanic, doing stuff. And I would see him, like, work on the car. and have gas, his hand, it'd be like spinach or something. My mom making dudes stick his hand in. That's what it was.
Well, just stuff was
Yeah,
different.
actually talk a little about
and we survived all that in the 70s, and
yeah,
here we are, healthy.
I remember
How did
Carlin
you
said
get through
that.
all that?
George Carlin used to say, "Hey, I swam in the Hudson. I'm."
Yeah, some of us jumped off the bridge in the barge canal too, right? We survived.
Oh
all
yeah,
that.
I did. People fished and ate that stuff in there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks. But scum jumping off the bridge here in State Street, yeah.
Yeah. Talk a little about how the atmosphere in Texas is being. We were talking a little about this. Some of the stuff we talked about before the show, we could do a whole other episode on international relations. But how was about living in Texas, the music scene, and how you liked it?
I loved the music scene in Texas for a couple of different reasons, right? When we moved there, it was like 2012. And I just thought the coolest thing in the world would be able to play pedal steel in a country band. And so I got to do about 8 years of just that, really sharpen up my pedal steel chops. And I played with some great folks that I know you're going to hear about. John Stork, Cody Ray Henry, Blake Harlow, guys that are just on the upswing. John is kind of at the front of the pack right now. Monster musicians. And the music scene there in Texas is kind of split. So there's like what happens inside the city limits, and there's what happens outside the city limits. And inside the city limits, it's all blues and jazz and all that kind of hip urban music in bars like we've got here, but they're packed. Even during the dreaded C word. If they could be, they were packed. But you go out of the country, like, let's say going from here down to, Bloomfield or something, and they all have big dance halls with big dance floors and a bandstand, and they're outside, and everybody knows how to dance, and they all do that social dance, and everybody's two-stepping in a big oval, right? It's all country music. It's all Texas country music, and there are guys that are making a great living that never leave the Texas, New Mexico, Arizona area. They
barn dance with alcohol.
It's like the old days, like in the 70s.
And the music is great.
The 70s, Long Island, you can make six figures. Bands like the Good Rats or Twisted Sister, you play every night. But you can make that. But I think also, like, mentioning small towns, my good friend Oz, who does the Door at the Bug Jar, he grew up in Batavia, and he would say when they would have music, everybody went because there's nothing to do. So sometimes I think we're caught by that paradox, and this is like for food, life, everything. There's too many choices.
Right.
Like
Only
I would
game
get
in
nights
town
like, okay,
usually.
great, I'm going to go see this tonight. Oh, man, come on, this is playing too.
Yeah, the other thing too that I don't think I certainly didn't grow up with here, but is the idea of social dancing as a thing. And Texans,
I won't.
You can't get a degree from like A&M or UT without taking dance classes. They can all dance. And guys that can't dance are single, right? If you want to have a social life, you got to be able to dance.
Well,
everybody dances.
I remember
so it's all about the social dancing.
It's kind of like foreplay almost.
We thought about like taking ballroom dancing and just to meet women, like in college.
Yeah.
But I just like for social dancing, and people's like, some drunk woman come go, no. I start limping like Ahab or something. I can't do it.
Oh, man, I'm a terrible dancer, but I learned how to two-step, and it was one of the smartest things that I ever did because...
what is that like in the South? It's called
happy.
Like clog dancing, like your head down doing like this sort of...
No, two-stepping is kind of like ballroom dancing to redneck music, right? It's sort of like the Lindy or sort of like not really the Charleston. It's sort of a Texas thing. I think in South Carolina they call it shag or beach dancing. But it's all the twirly stuff that you see on all the barn dance stuff. And it's, it's when you can do it, it's just great fun. And, it's you're not alone. Everybody's doing it. But we're out seeing Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan and the Troubadours Friday or so ago out in Darien Lake. What a great show. Willie Nelson just crushed it. I love that man like he was my family. Mm-hmm. But the Turnpike Troubadours got out to play. And people forget that those guys came up playing all the dance halls in Oklahoma and North Texas. It's dance music. And my wife looked at me, I was like, yeah, let's dance. We're out in the outfield, back behind the barrier, like just dancing away. And, all the kids that were there were like, where'd you learn how to do that? I was like, kid, we're from Texas. You can't not dance in Texas, right?
And it's an interesting paradox because I think Texas is always associated with guys wanting to be all manly and macho. But then they're dancing. And like I said, that's kind of a thing to get the women so they show them that they're, cool and all that. But like, maybe more East Coast, they're like, oh man, guys don't dance. That's wussy stuff, So it's it's strange to me.
Guys who are smart always learn how to dance.
Right.
Yeah.
Dancing's fun.
If you want to get next to the ladies, you have to dance.
Right.
I remember last time I saw Dylan, too, one of the fun things I love about Bob's shows is that he'll play stuff that you've heard 1,000 times, and you're midway through the song going, what in the heck is he singing?
Yeah.
Because he changes. I remember he played It Ain't Me, Babe. How many times have I heard that?
Right.
And then, like a Rolling Stone ad, he really did this long, your next meal.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen Bob when he's really on, and for my money, he wasn't really.
No, there have been times
like he was nailing it.
There are
in.
times he's been. That's why
he's 80, right? So
84.
Yeah.
But the last time I saw him, probably the last time, because I've also was actually a topic I was talking about with a friend too, where he can be really good or really bad. And last time he was really good.
Yeah.
And I saw Willie at Jazz Fest. And Willie is
he's an icon.
he's just incredible. But the only thing, too, is, like, you made that point, like, about Texas. I remember, like, when I was doing a film, our camera broke. We had a fundraiser for it. We found somebody in Georgia to come up in. And the guy's fantastic. And I had this revelation to do. Yeah, it's Rochester, so I think a local theater. You go almost everywhere, there's these people you never heard of who are really good. You'll never hear of them unless you run there.
Yeah. I think that's really true.
true.
It's a regional music scene.
But I wanted to ask one thing, too, like, for both of you. What are some of, like, the albums, do you have any albums that have really inspired you?
Well, I'm the unfortunate type who really got, when I was like 17, it was prog and fusion and all that stuff. So I had to cleanse myself of that and then reintroduce it and cleanse myself, cleanse myself. It never really goes away. But that's how that's where I really, about 17, you get into all that stuff.
Right.
And because I'm sort of self-taught, I did take some lessons from Mr. David Cohen, who Andy knows. And that certainly helped, but it wasn't, a lot of it was just being self-taught, listening. And so you listen to everything. And, after that period, of course, everything kind of pulled back, a lot less notes. More, verse, chorus, that kind of thing. So you learn that format. And then different versions of music, different genres where, country is one thing, pop is one thing. So you just have to learn to adapt. I know Greg knows this. It's like just, if you're playing a bunch of stuff, and if you want to work as a musician, you just have to learn as much as you can. And listen, just keep your ears open.
You gotta tear music apart and see what makes.
It's one of my views, and I've said this about. It could be right. It's just my opinion. If you go from prog to, like, say, blues, country, Americana, prog, I think, is for somebody who really wants to test themselves as a virtuoso musician. There's a coldness to it, and it's like I've seen Tony Levin many times, and he's great. He's one of my favorite musicians, great guy too. But they'll play a song, and you'll hear all this musicianship. Then, like, Tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
That's the song. Mm-hmm. Now, for the other forms, it's more about you don't have to be like a virtuoso, but you have to have a feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And I always think that's why, shows like The Voice or all these, for me, they don't really work because they're like glorified karaoke where there's no feeling. Because they wanted, actually, I found out, they tried to get Jason Isbell to audition on The Voice and get you for his career, and no.
Yeah, but look, that all depends on what your definition of virtuoso really is. Like, I love Steve Howe as a guitar player. He's just phenomenal.
Yes.
But I would still argue that Robert Johnson, virtuoso.
Yeah.
B.B. King, virtuoso.
Oh, yeah.
Don Helms, Hank Williams' pedal steel player, absolute virtuoso. But it's not speed and pyrotechnics. That being a virtuoso is also really supporting the song. It depends on your orientation.
I think
it's
my
external
definition,
or it's right.
I think my definition, when I'm really saying, is somebody more, and they are like they're classified as a type of virtuoso. I'm trying somebody who just musically on an instrument really just wants to test the boundaries, like a classical.
Robert Fripp
just really wants to just keep seeing how far he can go and play. And Hendrix is probably the greatest guitar player ever, but it's also, plus I found music subjective too.
Yeah.
But a well-placed, like B.B. King, he does those nice little tremolo things or whatever you want, pull-offs or whatever they're called.
You said it, nobody appreciates Willie what a good guitar player he is.
Yeah.
And you look like how he changes chords and rhythm and everything.
Yeah, and the thing I loved, it was just I had to reconnect to watching him play on Friday, but I really felt like I got Willie Nelson all over again watching him do this show, is that he is the embodiment of the great American songbook, right?
Yes.
He wrote songs for Patsy Cline in the 60s,
Crazy, wrote Crazy,
Nightlife, Crazy, Funny How Time Slips Away, all the things that you know, right? And then he also was doing some things like by Chris Christopherson and other great songs that you just forgotten about. I mean, I love that. So the virtuosity, he's a great guitar player, he's a great singer, but his real talent is just putting chords and melodies together that in ways that just stick with you. And I was talking to a guy last night who was like, yeah, people don't really know. I mean, not Willie Nelson, people don't really know. Yeah, no. I was surrounded by probably 100 kids in the lawn seating area, and when Willie got up to play, they were all on their feet, and these kids in their 30s were singing along with every word.
And I like his
Willie
reggae
Nelson
album,
songs.
Country Man. I own that. I had a little laugh because, good old social media BS to distract us. The thing about the CEO getting caught on camera at the Coldplay thing, first thing I did was I put on Willie's version of The Scientist by Coldplay.
Well, look at some of Willie's old publicity pictures with the short hair and the suit and everything. I mean, he's been through the whole rigmarole of the music business.
Oh, yeah.
And I would argue, and I'll do it till the day I die, that had Willie Nelson not moved to Austin and connected country music with the hippie population that was down there at the Armadillo World Headquarters, that music as we see it right now would just not exist. It would be unrecognizable. And it's just
like one of those, It's a Wonderful Life where there's no Willie.
Yeah.
That sounded not the way I intended to, if you ever see mind. But this has been really fun. I think we just hit the tip of the iceberg, too.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, now it's time to say goodbye almost to Jen and all his friends.
Good
But what's coming up?
night.
This is what's coming up for everybody. I know you're going on tour. When can we catch you here before that? Or if people want to get tickets and go fly over to Scotland to see you.
We're playing at the Moorings Bar in Aberdeen. That's just going to be an epic, crazy show. So if you can get over there, Borders Blues Club in Edinburgh, that's also going to be just an absolute crazy one. So if you want to buy tickets, shoot me an email at son@sonhenry.com or find me on www.sonhenry.com.
Or maybe a little closer, we might want to see you.
If you're of a lawn seat kind of mindset, then Cornhill, we're playing in the Pavilion on the 24th. And that's going to be a great chance to experience the diversity of all the music that this band plays. It's going to be all original material.
I'm going to go to that because I was supposed to go see my friend play last week, and my car was dry docked. I had the coordinates on my phone, so this time I could do the podcast, walk around, head right down there. And Marty, anything? I know all you musicians here play different things. So are you doing anything different?
Well, I'm playing with this guy.
Sorry.
He keeps me very busy, which is great. I also play with Watkins and the Rapiers whenever we play. It's not as much anymore, but we got a couple of jobs coming up at the Little Theater Cafe in September. And then we'll do our Christmas shows there.
Famous Christmas shows.
The famous Christmas shows. And then, doing fill-ins here and there for different bands. So, I stay busy. Happy.
Yeah, you could see, we talked about, people being like Joe Beard, but you're seeing somebody authentic when you see you.
Oh, well,
you
thank
are.
you.
I have been to your shows. If you saw the weird guy in the corner, with my writer's detachment looking miserable, that's me. I can't look like having a good time.
He's actually analyzing everything that's going on.
That's okay. And if you've never seen my band, the folks that see me at the Record Archive expect to come and see the Son Henry Band and see 3 hours of blues. And really, the best place to hear the blues, all of it, is the Sunhouse Nights. But when you come see the band, I jokingly describe what we play as the alternative. Because we play a little bit of country stuff, we play a little bit of blues, we play a little bit of rock and roll. We play we just play good music that I like.
And it's a different version of his original music. So it's like, he's got his blues thing, of course, but it's just a different thing to listen to. He's got a whole other world that he writes for. So that's where the band really succeeds.
Yeah, that's where you guys shine.
Yeah.
And as always, thanks for being on, and check these guys really seriously. If we want to hear a song at the end, we're not going to make you pull the slide guitar out and play here? Mention this album. Tell us about it. Where can you get this?
So you can find this album wherever you stream music. The album I brought with me, folks, is called Grace.
Well, it's CD.
CD, right?
Whatever.
Yeah.
I am a CD man.
I have this thing in my hand that it requires digital technology to be made. That I recorded with some friends of mine in Budapest that I've known for 30 years, and we put this record. It's all my songs. It's all these guys. But we were talking about slide guitar, and I thought I'd play something that.
Wrong. Please try again.
No, I'm not going to try again. Shut up. The
critics of this podcast, they don't even like we're done to criticize us.
Right. Yeah, Siri has entered the chat. So this we'll play a song called Ribbon of Tar. That's one that my band does now here. But this has lots of slide guitar all over it.
Is there any background story behind it, or is it just a song?
Yeah, there's a road. It's really about that thing that I think everybody that grew up around here experienced when you get your car keys in your hand for your first time and you just get to go drive. It's about that American love affair with internal combustion engines and a long straight stretch of road. Something that to this day I still just love.
I used to love just driving like random road trips. And I also like to thank for having two drummers. You two behaved yourselves. Yeah, pretty good.
Well, there's still time. We could go crazy right now.
We'll have you back, and I'll take that one off. You two can talk for 3 hours.
Nylon tips suck.
But thanks a lot again, and best of luck on touring and everything else.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Tea leaves, I know it's in the store. Got my shoes pointed down that ribbon of a road. Got my shoes pointed down that. I got my shoes pointed down that. I got my shoes pointed down that ribbon of the road. Well, I was born just up in a state, man. I grew up selling diesel load and shifting 40 weight. Papa said life's a journey, starts when you are born. Got my